10 games this season. Flyers right now sitting in the bottom spot of the Metro. They're look to get their season moving in the right direction against a good opponent tonight. It's Jason Myrtetus, Brian Smith. Hopefully Chris Therien will join us momentarily. But Smitty, Flyers on a road trip right now. A couple of guys going to be out, though. No Sam Emerson, no Ryan Poehling. We know that Erik Johnson out of the lineup for this game as well. So this could be some good opportunity for some other guys to get in there, including Zamula, to show something and try and stay in the lineup.
Yeah, it's a situation where they wanted to get Igor Zamula back in the lineup and make sure he wasn't sitting too long. So Erik Johnson will come out, and Nick Deslauriers is going in for Ryan Poehling, who's a little banged up. He's not on the trip. He's back home with a little bit of a family situation. So it's a good opportunity for Deslauriers to get in the lineup too. See if he can't bring some energy. There's a lot of things that John Tortorella has talked about this week in terms of things he sees the Flyers need to be doing better. And most of it has to do with having the puck, possessing the puck, going to the dirty areas of the ice, going to the corners, and coming out with the puck. And, your hope is that a guy like Nick Deslauriers can come in and bang some bodies and maybe bring some contagious energy to the lineup and, kind of see if that doesn't rub off on some of those guys and get them in the corners going after the puck too. So, it is an opportunity, and any way you slice it, it's a tall order against this Carolina team that's won 6 in a row now, and it's an opportunity for the Flyers maybe to put an end to that.
Yeah, and 8 of their last 9, they've had some really impressive performances in there, and it's typical Carolina Hurricanes hockey. It's a team that defends in all zones well. Attacks you in ways that go up and down the lineup. They're not one of those teams that really just depends on one guy, but you look at the one guy that's really off to a great start. It's the guy who everybody was talking about in the offseason. They're going, well, Myrtetus is the guy that he's got that RFA contract. Maybe he's the guy that they need to deal out of there. Well, he is off to a bonkers start. He's got 18 points already in 10 games, 6 goals and 12 assists.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gone through him so far. This is a Carolina team that scored a lot of goals in these 10 games, and he has been involved in 18 of them. When you look at Carolina's overall total, 39 goals on the year, which is only 9 more than the Flyers have themselves. So it's not a gigantic number, but the Flyers, their 30 is coming in 1 fewer game. They're averaging just under 4 goals a game here in Carolina, and they're not giving anything up either. They're only allowing just over 2 goals a game. So it's it's certainly been a great start for them, and it's gone through guys like Myrtetus and Svechnikov, and really those 2 guys have kind of carried the offense. Everybody else is in single-digit points for this team. The next guy that's closest is a familiar name. Shane Gostisbehere's got 9 points in his first 10 games. So he has benefited from the way this Carolina team is playing. So, yeah, it is a good start for this team. And then, Myrtetus in particular, a guy the Flyers will try to cool off tonight.
Yeah, it's not complicated when you look at it. You look at Carolina, you look at the record. They have 8-2 through 10 games. When you're 5th in the NHL in goals 4 games played at 3.9 goals per game, and you're only allowing the second most amount of goals at 2.3 goals per game, that's a recipe for success. Power plays clicking at 26.5%. PK's right up there at 84.6%. You look at all the measurables of Carolina, and it all adds up to an 8-2 record. It's not. This is once again. I didn't get into this business because I was smart. This isn't rocket science. This is pretty obvious why they're good.
Yeah. I mean, and again, when you get a guy like Myrtetus out there who maybe is providing you with, I don't know if you'd call it unexpected offense. I think they've always known they've got something like this in him, but just to the extent that he's been able to contribute so far has probably been a little bit beyond what folks had expected from him. So you'll take that, and obviously Rod Brindamore and the rest of the group are going to ride that as far as they can here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, his previous high in points, he had a 71-point season in 22-23. This guy's going to get paid, by the way. 28 goals and 43 assists in 22-23. Then last year, only missed 5 games, but had 53 points, a bit of a down year, which is why his name was out there. And then this year, getting off to this crazy start with 18 points in 10 games. And He's working on setting himself up for the long term with that kind of dough and a big contract as a result. With Carolina, Brad, this is one of the teams I always look at and I go, okay, there's different ways. Flyers in this rebuild, wherever you think they are in the rebuild, doesn't matter. But what matters is the path you take, and there's several ways to rebuild. You can do what Buffalo did, which hasn't paid off. You can do what Toronto did, has paid off to an extent, obviously, great team, but hasn't had the playoff success. Tampa Bay, who we'll see Thursday, the way they've done it. And you can look at the way this team has done it, in this Carolina team, with really good drafting and development of players. And it's why they're a team that comes at you in waves. Sebastian Aho may be the biggest star they have, per se, but it's all about defending well, having players that fit the system. They went out there and put that offer sheet out a couple of years ago and really kind of got aggressive that way. So they're a team that has done it a little bit differently than your standard operating procedure, your SOP on how to rebuild a club.
Yeah, especially when you look at, for me, what else is going on within the organization. Because, they've got an owner in Tom Dundon who is very unique in how he values the people that work for him. Broadcasters, not at all. For instance, he's booted some of them out the door. But then, you get a guy like Don Waddell who comes in here and, pretty much I would have to say is the architect of what we're seeing here. He is now in Columbus, replaced by Eric Tulsky, who gets the general manager's job in the offseason. Recall ye that he started Broad Street Hockey back in the day as an analytics guy. So for me, it's going to be really interesting to see how he's able to continue this. How much of this had to do with the analysis that Carolina was receiving from him versus player evaluation from Don Waddell? I have no idea, but that's going to come to the forefront now because he's in charge. And I know that there's a lot of talk out there about how this organization is run. I'm sure that Tulsi gets this opportunity because he deserves it, but it's also, I'm sure there's a money issue in there too, because again, that's just the way things are down here. So, it's going to be very interesting for me anyway to watch how this develops over the next couple of seasons and where this all goes in terms of, are they able to continue this? Are they able to keep plugging in the right guys and making the right mix, or is that going to go by the wayside a little bit?
Yeah, one thing that almost went by the wayside was their head coach, Rod Brindamore, as a result of that very fiscally, shall we say, tight with the purse strings, but they end up getting the long-term deal done. My version of analytics is this. I'm not, as I said before, we're going to reiterate this. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I do know that the analytic of only 2.5 goals, 4 games played for the Flyers, 27th in the NHL, they need to build on that. They need to find a way to generate more offense. Tort said the other day that they've gotten better at defending. Well, they ought to. They've been doing it so darn much. They got a lot of practice at it. But you got to generate offense.
Yeah, there's no question that right now the Flyers aren't generating the chances that they want to. The last game was better in the second and third periods. The scoring chances, according to, I guess, whoever was keeping them for the Flyers, was 10-10. And that's okay. But, they're not getting the defense they need to be allowing that many chances. So they got to cut down on that, but they got to get some more of their own. The biggest problem right now is that those scoring chances are not necessarily resulting in shots on goal. And, a scoring chance is what a scoring chance is. We kind of know it when we see it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to result in a goal without a shot on goal. So that is part of the problem right now. The Flyers are still in a little bit of a pinch in terms of guys hitting the net. Again, it's just kind of bearing down and figuring that part of it out too. They want to have the puck more. They want to allow fewer chances. We've talked about the shot blocking thing. It's great that they're blocking 28 shots every now and then, but that's not really sustainable. So, just want to try to cut down on that in general. So there's a few different ways a few different things need to be fixed. But, again, like it was 2 seasons ago, the foundation is coming from their defensive play right now.
No question about it. Let's take our first time out. Flyers and the Canes tonight. Game one of a 3-game road trip as the Flyers look to get some points on the road. We'll tell you how they did against these 3 teams last year. And we'll go to the booth next. A view from the booth with Tim Saunders coming up as the Flyers get set to take on the Canes. You're listening to the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on the Flyers Broadcast Network. on the Carolina Hurricanes. And I think we have Bundy. Do we have Bundy now?
Yeah, you got me, Jace.
There we go, my boy. Attaboy,
Yeah,
Big Al. Bundy in Carolina tonight. It's such a good team, and they're a team that hits you in waves, and it's maybe one night it's one guy, and another night it's a different guy. But there's an opportunity against a good team for the Flyers to go out there, and you really got to play a detailed game, because if you don't, you'll come out of there really looking pretty poor in your performance.
They execute with speed and precision, and they're playing extremely well right now. 6 wins in a row for Carolina. So this is a game tonight. The Flyers, I mean, if you're going to have an early season test, I don't think there's anybody in the NHL that has played better than the Canes have to this point. So the Flyers will be tested for sure, and that's going to be the challenge tonight. Carolina, and I'll have this again in some of my notes here for the end of the 3 keys to the game, but their puck possession is as lethal as anyone in the NHL, and that's going to be a real challenge for the Flyers tonight, along with their defensive scheme and their goaltender.
Yeah, Bundy, when you look at the grand scheme of what the Flyers are dealing with right now, I'm wondering your thoughts on how they approach a team like this in Carolina that has the puck all the time. John Tortorella called it today a good opportunity for them to maybe try to solve that issue of needing to have the puck more. But what goes into that? I mean, I know that when you have a team like Carolina, a lot of times you're just trying to ride it out, especially on the road. What is their focus tonight on trying to solve that part of the game?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the challenge tonight, Brian. I think that is ultimately going to be the biggest challenge in this hockey game, is how do the Flyers defensively handle the amount of puck possession that Carolina has. And this will be the theme of the night. They do it with speed. They don't have an authentic type of forecheck, if you will. They don't throw a guy in with a real heavy body. They do it with speed, and they fill the gaps that are there. But that's why I said, this will be the test tonight for the Flyers. Play a very good team that's on top of their game. And that in the Flyers, I'll say this, over the last 10 days, their defensive scheme has improved. They're defending from the inside out more in the D zone, and that's allowed the Flyers to, at times, get the puck out with a little bit more ease. We can't really get into the offensive zone stuff yet, because it's been a sore spot, to be quite honest with you. They're not getting the chances based on some of the work they've done. But tonight is going to be, you're going to see 2 different types of teams. You're going to see a Carolina team that's really advanced in who they are as a club right now, confident with the puck. And you're going to see a Flyers team, again, that's going to have to defend as well as they have, while also providing offense at the other end. That's a major, major challenge against an excellent hockey team there tonight.
Bundy, if you're the coach in this situation, you got this team that owns the puck in games. That's their thing, right? That's how they wear you down. They just own the puck. Do you just simplify it and say, guys, the best way we can avoid that is, number one, is being very aware of where the play is and really locked in mentally into this game, and win races to pucks.
Yeah.
Go get the puck before they get it, and put yourself in a position to not allow them to establish possession.
Yeah, and this is the kind of game where if you're the Flyers, this is the kind of game where if you're physical, you're going to have a good opportunity, because Carolina doesn't play a super physical game. They win puck races. But this is where if you're the Flyers in the offensive zone, you can wear a team like this down by just playing good, solid offense with the puck, cycling the puck, working their defensemen. And that's going to be a chore, because the Flyers have not had a lot of sustained pressure offensively. So when you play a team like Carolina, they're going to be just good defensively, but what they're poised on doing is going on the rush. They love going on the rush, and they love getting pucks in deep, and then they win the races to them. So if the Flyers can match that, and at the same time defend with a lot of physicality, both physicality in the D zone and physicality in the offensive zone, it's going to pay dividends from the Flyers side. This is a classic matchup of a team that can will their way to a win, and another team that really, quite honestly, is going to try to do it with skill all night in the Carolina Hurricanes.
Bundy, curious to your thoughts on Yegor Zamula, who's been out the last, I think, 3 or 4 games now, gets back in here tonight. What did you see from him before he went out of the lineup, and what do you think he needs to do coming back in tonight to kind of cement a spot back in, especially with Emil Andre kind of breathing down his neck now for that 6th spot once Cam York is back?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zamula had a very unbalanced start. I don't think there's any way you can skirt around it. He had some games where he did not handle the puck well. He made some defensive mistakes. A big guy like that, I don't know what they're telling him, but if I'm his coach or if I'm working with him, I'm looking at somebody that I see the potential to defend well and to move the puck well. And I think he has to keep those things in check. he can't look at himself as a number one power play guy, even though he has played power play. I think he really needs to put his focus on skating with the puck, making good defensive plays, defending well, and then moving the puck efficiently up to the forwards. You can play forever in this league if you can do that. And I think that he can do that. But he's trying to do too much, and there needs to be more urgency in his defensive play, the way that he competes against guys on the other team.
Yeah, to me, Bundy, the word I think of when I watch him is decisive. Like, he's got to be more decisive. And I remember you talking about this a couple of games ago, and I'll go back to the Seattle game as a prime example when the Flyers get that fourth goal scored on them to go down 4-2. Right off or 3-2, right off the draw, he tries a cross-ice pass in the neutral zone. Boom, it's a turnover. It ends up in the back of your net. You got to simplify that. You talked about making the simple play, how it changed your career. That's just a little chip up the boards on your side of the ice. Why go going cross ice?
Yeah, if you don't need to make those plays, you make the simple play. And less is always more. I've always said that. Less is more in the game of hockey. Your first play when you're a defenseman, when you have the puck, it should be looking to the same side board. If that's not there, option 2 will be the center, but it has to absolutely be there. And then if you have a perfect play across where you're not, where there's no pressure and there's if they're running a trap situation, you can go cross ice. But your first play is always right to the board, even if it's a 6 or 7 foot pass, because you're moving it faster and the guy's going to be able to come up and catch you. Little things, both in his game and Andre's game that have to improve. Andre's been good, pretty good offensively. Again, but he'll be another guy that they're going to watch closely, how he handles his own D zone. That's going to be paramount how these guys develop into the future.
All right, let's take our last time out here on the pregame show. We got the Flyers and the Canes at the top of the hour. We've also got Bundy's 3 keys to victory coming up and line combinations, and we'll see some interesting ones that we'll talk about as well. Flyers, Canes, top of the hour. We're back after this on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Yeah, Flyers and the Hurricanes coming up here in just a couple of moments as the Flyers drop the puck on a 3-game road trip. Let's get to the line combinations in advance of us getting to Bundy's 3 keys to victory. Forster going to play with Couturier and Michkov. So Konechny comes off that line, Bundy. Forster moves up. And look, you kept it together for a while, and they had a huge game against Minnesota, but frankly, since then, they haven't. So you got to make changes.
Got to make changes, especially coming off a shutout. So you're going to try to spark the offense here, and there'll be a lot of caveats involved in this game tonight. The Flyers figuring out the D zone, the neutral zone, the offensive zone, and it's going to be a real pace game tonight. That'll be interesting to see that top line. It gives a little bit of size as well in there with the Forster, play physical.
Frost, Konechny, and Tippett. So in your top 2 lines, you have a guy playing on his off wing on 2 occasions, or really 3, because Michkov on the right side, but that's where he prefers to play. Forster and Tippett on their off wings. Lautenbrink and Farabee, and then Cates, as we mentioned, Cates will center the 4th line with Paling out. Delarier draws back in, Hathaway with them as well. But a shake-up here on the D pairs also. Sanheim going to play with Jamie Drysdale tonight on the Flyers' top pair. Bundy, what do you think about that pairing? Obviously, Sanheim will be on the left side, Drysdale on the right.
Ask me after the game, Jason.
That's my exact thought.
I don't know. Initially, when you say it, I don't love it because I actually thought Risto was fine up there, but they're gonna I guess they're going the names in the hat tonight.
They've been defending well, though. I mean, I thought they defended well on Saturday, too. Sealer and Ristolainen together. That pairing will have a little bit of bite. And then Andre and Zamula, I presume that means Zamula, as a left shot guy, will be on the right side, and that will be a whole nother set of challenges as he draws back in.
Yeah, I mean, so you got I mean, it's there's nothing wrong with being able to play with other guys. It's just that, and why not? Like, I don't mind what Torts is doing. Throw a curveball tonight at Carolina. Make them have to kind of guess a little bit. Even if you throw a wrench into what they're looking at, it helps. So I have no problem with any of those lines tonight. I'd keep an eye. Maybe they're trying to get Drysdale going. I think Sanheim's been pretty decent lately, so maybe they try to elevate him into that top pair and see how that goes. So there's a little bit of logic to it, I think.
All right, Alexei Kolosov gets the start with Sam Harrison out as well. Let's get to the Bundy's 3 keys to victory. Bundy, key number 1.
Yeah, well, the first one, and we talked about it, and it really is going to be simple because you can watch it. If you're watching the game tonight, watch the way the Carolina Hurricanes have the pressure and the puck possession. They are the best in the NHL. They go after, they attack pucks with speed. They can play good, quick games with the puck in the offensive zone. That's going to be a major challenge for the Flyers tonight. For a Flyers team, quite frankly, I think that's defended pretty well of late out in the zone. It's improved a lot since the beginning of the year. That's number 1. Number 2. In a game that's it's been a challenge for the team offensively, the power play has not scored a goal in the last 4 games. That has to change tonight. If you get an early chance, you may try to make that count, because that 1 goal lead or that goal in a game that you get on the power play could be the difference in a game like this. So a team that's mired in a little bit of an offensive slug right now, if you will, for this team, I think they have to really key in the power play for this group tonight. That's number 2. And number 3, it's plain and simple. Kolosov, he has to be good tonight. This is a game where, you don't have your starter. Sam Ursan is out of the game, so in comes Kolosov, and it looks like it'll be the first game in a row for him. We'll see. I don't have any update at all on Sam's injury, but nonetheless, and there's no other way to say it, guys. He's going to have to be really, really good in this game for the Flyers to have a chance.
Here's the fact of the matter. The guy didn't come over because he thought he was ready for the NHL, right? He kind of wrote a check.
Right.
Now somebody's coming to cash it, like, you got this opportunity. I like the way he performed the other day, and I said to Smitty in postgame, I said, I like the situation he was put in. Not that Sam got hurt, but a lot of times the backup goalie kind of knows this is getting ugly. I'm probably going to go in. I should start getting ready.
Yeah.
He didn't have that opportunity, just thrown into that game, and I like the way under that adversity that he performed.
Yeah, and you don't even get the warm-up anymore. Years ago when I played, they'd give you 5 or 6 shots, right?
Drop a couple of biscuits out there and touch a few.
He went in there. The only thing I'll say about Kolosov is the games that he's played, he's let in 1 bad goal in each game. And so, and if you're going to be a top goalie, give your team a chance, you have to allow 0 bad goals.
Yeah,
and that's the difference. So, no knock against him at all. He looked, I'm hoping for him. I'm really hoping he has a big game tonight. But if they're going to rely on him, they're going to have to get good goaltending if you're going to beat Carolina.
Smitty, final thought from you're down there in Carolina. What's the arena called now?
Lenovo Center. The arena is the name of the year here. But same old PNC Arena. They have a good crowd here. And I think you're right, Bundy. It's just a matter, they can get an early chance and bury one. Playing a game like this here, 1 goal ahead is a lot different than chasing it all night, because that's a really tall order at a place like this. Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. And they're high-flying right now. They feel good about their game. 6 in a row. They absolutely mangled the Boston Bruins, and that was their last game. Am I correct by saying that?
They've won since then. They won, I think, 4-1. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. That's actually, you're right, Jason. Sorry. And so this is a team that's just really on their game, and the Flyers are going to have an early season opportunity to show who they are. If you want to bounce back and get in the standings, it's the game tonight. You have to go out and go for it.
Buckled the Bruins 8-2. All right, stay tuned. Tim Saunders, Todd Fedoruk, they've got the countdown to face-off, followed by all the first period action between the Flyers and the Canes. You've been listening to the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on the Flyers Broadcast Network.